Welcome to Rewind with Ellen. I'm your host, Ellen Winjuro.
And I'm your co-host, Rokar.
Thank you so much for joining us. Bro, what's the good word? How are you? How has your week been?
It's been okay. The weather has been kind of weird in New York. It's been very humid and then cooling down. Now we're experiencing rain, but I'm good. I'm good. Minus the Olympics, I'm good.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into that. I've been meaning to ask you something since episode 21.
Really?
Is Jupiter still alive? Is she breathing? Like, how is she doing?
We're gonna have to do that another episode. So
Ooh! Okay.
Jupiter's struggling. Jupiter's struggling.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Jupiter. Oh man, and the guitar ain't making it
Louise, have you been playing Louise? What's going on?
Louise, the string pops and
yeah. Oh, see, okay.
I'm gonna post, like how it started, how it's going.
Okay, all right. I had high hopes for Louise. She looked so vibrant in episode 20. Are you saying that she lost her color?
Where I live, I don't think I have the atmosphere that for Louise to thrive. That's what I think.
You don't have sun? You don't have sun over there? I'm confused.
I do have sun, but the way it comes in is kind of to the side.
Gotcha.
They need a little, like, more sun than I think it's being given.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna buy fake plants for now on. This one's doing well. It's not bothering me. It's having a good time. I'm just gonna buy fake plants, but I haven't given up.
Okay. Got it. All right. We'll circle back in a couple of weeks.
I don't know about September. I don't know if it's gonna make it till September, but I'll try.
Yikes. All right. Yeah, so going back to what you said, the Olympics, man, Simone Biles, this is giving me a lot of fever. There's just way too many, unsolicited opinions, especially the ones that are negative. With that said, you alluded to me not maybe liking what you have to say, so I'm dying to know what you think about that whole situation.
Well, I mean, you want to hear your side first, or you want me just to go out?
I mean, my side is like, come on, she is a grown-ass woman who is in control of her mind and her body, and she can make the decision that benefits her mental health, which informs her physical health. And let's not forget that she is one of America's greatest gymnasts, and she's endured injuries in the past, and she's pushed through and she's made it happen. But for whatever reason, this particular situation, although it's not an injury, if we read the red tape, like, she had a moment midair, right? A disconnected feeling, mind from body. And when you think about that and how crucial that is to your physical well-being, like, all it took was for her to think something, she had no business thinking, and then she lands, and then she's hurt for the rest of her life. So I applaud the fact that she chose to say, you know what? Let me take a step back. Let me get my ish together before I, physically harm myself and can't do what it is I'm so good at for the rest of my life. And I have a problem with, specifically middle-aged white men inserting their opinion and calling her selfish. It just, all these derogatory, remarks and opinions. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Okay. So I will never call her a coward. I can't call an athlete of her level a coward. Where I do have an issue with is when you're labeled a GOAT, and she didn't label herself that at all. So again, no onus on her. But when you're labeled the GOAT, there's pressures that come with that. And I think, growing in a male-dominant society, your opinion of an athlete, especially on that Olympic level, is you give it your all. Even if you're going to die out there, you give it your all. That's the generation that these guys that are commenting on are coming from, right? So there's no love in baseball. There's no crying in baseball. You just go out there and you play the game. You play to win the game. Whatever game it is, that's how you do it. So I don't think anybody tries to empathize with, especially a woman of color, how she comes out on the floor, how she looks, her hair isn't a different thing. You're already talking about that.
Right.
Her presence, her energy. If she's too cocky, then she has an attitude. You can't talk to her, she's not relatable. So yes, I can't even imagine the pressures of that going on in the field. But my point that I was getting to you when we were DMing each other is that as Black people, we cannot afford to do this in a society where there's no equality.
We can't afford to do what?
To bow down, to take ourselves out of these things, even though mentally we're not there. I would rather you not even go there than subject to what they're gonna do and try to hold on and try to break us down. Because here's the thing: the images of what projects out there, they're gonna tear us down regardless. But when we went out there and give it our all, they can't hold us to the fire. And the thought of, we've done more things for mental health because we see every color can have mental health. We've done more for mental health in the past 10 years than we've done for racial equality. So that's my point. We're not there yet to be like, let's just focus on mental health. Because we haven't focused on all the inequalities that have happened in Black and brown people. So when someone goes out like that and they represent us, and unfortunately it sucks, but they represent all of us. So then when you cannot perform at your highest, it's like you can't perform for us. And I get it. It sucks and it's hard.
A lot of pressure. That is a lot of pressure.
Put pedestal on that pressure. But I also think about this, and I apologize if this offends anybody, but think about the times when Tommy Smith and John Carlos, when they put their hands up in the air in the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City. Their families got death threats. They got home to death threats. They couldn't get any work the first couple of years coming back home. I was thinking about Jim Thorpe in the 1912 Olympics. He was Native American. They took his running shoes the day of the track and field. He literally had to get a shoe from one guy, and then he found another one in the garbage. Won 2 gold medals that day. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I get the mental. We need to be more mindful of that nowadays. I totally get that, and I totally agree with that. But when you're on that stage, we're not there yet, I think, as a society to really understand the pressures that people are going through. And so I did my research, and I have even read about Michael Phelps. He thought about committing suicide in the 2012 Olympics. And that's crazy to know the pressure that you're put on yourself, but let alone everybody else does, and if you don't get the gold, you're a failure. It's tough. I wish her the best. It's interesting. We were talking about the tennis player, right? Is this going to be the new norm? Am I allowed to use this as an excuse, and I don't think we're ready yet. Maybe because we're still in the Trump kind of the fog of that still, where you're seeing these guys that are being more vocal that would never do that before, but they feel more empowered that they can just speak their truth, whether it hurts you or not. Because they were talking about kids. I don't care about this kid and stuff like that. So why should they care about a grown woman who's going to play for our country? And that's the worst part about it, is that we're breaking down the people that are going out there to win medals for us, for our country. And we still are separating each other from one another. So that's the hardest part. And that's just my view on that. Hopefully it gets better.
Hopefully. I mean, you're not the greatest of all time because you don't know yourself and your body and your mind, right? And your sport and your performance levels. You are the GOAT because you are self-aware of what goes into being the GOAT, how to show up, how to perform, but also how to listen to your body and to your mind, right? And I don't know that because she's Black, she needs to sacrifice that, right? I don't know that because she's Black and she, everyone's looking at her as the GOAT, as the greatest of all time, that now I have to push my mental health to the side, right? Again, because the mental is informing and feeding the physical. If that's not right, that's going to show up on the floor, right? So who are we sacrificing here? Is it for us to say, yeah, she was the GOAT and she's Black, and yeah, her mental ain't right though. Yeah, she broke this, or yeah, she can never perform again, but we're just gonna have to agree to disagree. But I get your point of view though. I get the pressure that comes with that.
No, but again, I 100% agree with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate to what I'm hearing. I'm on threads with guys.
Okay.
former athletes and like that's their energy and what they're saying. They're like brave. What's brave about bowing out? I'm like, whoa. So I've defended her, but I also can understand certain aspects of it. That's all I'm saying. I 100% defend her, and only because of her resume. Like her resume. Like so
she's what? She's accumulated what, 31 Olympic and world championships? Like, come on.
If she didn't do that, then I'm like, okay, maybe you can be in judge on that. But she's already proven herself, so she doesn't have to prove herself again. But I know the overall feeling and thought of that. And also, I read another article that she takes this drug for ADHD that she has, and supposedly the Olympics, they won't allow it there in that country, so they are not allowing her to have that. So that's why that's interesting. Yeah, if
that's what it is, that explains a lot.
If you're not allowed to take that, then what are we arguing about, people? What are we arguing about?
Great way to nip that in the bud. All right, I'm glad we shared our opinions, because I was looking forward to this. All right, so moving on to the piece de resistance. It's a new independent film called Eyimofe, and it is co-directed by Nigerian twin brothers, Arie and Chuko Esiri. And the film traces the journey of two distantly connected strangers. A man called Mofe, who's played by Jude Awukadike. I'm hoping to God I pronounced that correctly. He's an electrician dealing with the fallout of a family tragedy. And then Rosa, who's played by Temi Ami Williams, she's a hairdresser supporting her pregnant teenage sister. And each of these main characters are looking to pursue their dream of starting a new life in a country overseas, in Spain and in Italy. So what I loved most right off the bat about this film is that it presents a portrait of daily life in Lagos, Nigeria, that you don't normally see in Nigerian films. And so there's a lot to be said about the fact that these directors decided to make a film outside of the Nollywood machine. And it's proof. The way this film came out, I think it's beautifully crafted. It's not the traditional sort of like, and I hate to say this, but janky, like the acting isn't all the way together, or the lines, the words aren't synced, the lighting is off. Like, this was beautifully done. I mean, it makes it worth your time to sit through 2 hours of it, because there's a lot to look at, there's a lot to love about it. So before I dive deep, what were your initial thoughts on the film?
I was a little frustrated.
Okay, tell us how you really feel. Go ahead.
It is a beautiful film. I don't know if I'd visit Nigeria after watching this film, but no due respect.
That's one sliver of it.
Of course, I'm seeing the bad side of it, right? I'm seeing the tough, trying to thrive through everyday struggles.
The hood.
Everything that could go wrong goes wrong in this movie. I'm just like, can we get a break? Maybe 2 minutes. So I thought, normally when you see a film, right, about Nigeria or something like that, like you said earlier, to piggyback on that, you see the beautiful colors and they give you this energy. And the energy I got was in a different way.
Well, you saw colors. It was a vibrant film in terms of color.
Colors, but also I wanted the mood to mimic the colors I was getting, right? So I got somber moments. And I was waiting, like, I need a hero here. I need a victory. I need something to kind of lift me out of this funk. And you saw that here and there, later on when she goes on a date, or, he just kind of finds his wings and gets out of that situation and is like, okay, I got to find my own self. So there's some great moments in there that are very beautiful and well done, that makes the movie not as, at least in my eyes, it makes it worth watching, because those moments really bring you, okay, this is a nice movie. There is a story that I want to still be involved with and find out what happens in the end.
I think for me, it was the complexities. It was the idea that human life isn't always easy, right? There isn't always going to be this silver lining at the end of the rainbow or the road. And life is full of hardships and it's tragedy. And what made me connect to these two characters is how they handled their adversity, right? And so, it really shows the intersectionality of these two characters, but while it wasn't prevalent in person, like they didn't cross paths in person, but the plots, the storylines intersected a lot. Like Mofe's character, his sister is the one who passes away, but his sister is also the one that he was relying on to give him the money to go to Spain, right? And then with Rose's character, her younger sister, who was a pregnant teenager, the idea there was her pregnancy or her baby was meant to facilitate their trip to Italy, right? They found, I think this woman was a baby broker. They found a woman who was willing to buy the baby and willing to get them visas and passports or whatever so they can go to Italy. So I thought that was interesting how they kind of tied that connection together. Again, that Mofe and Rose's characters were really strong. They were really faced with a lot right off the bat. And you just see them, trying to survive by any means necessary in a situation or in a city that isn't that economically sound. And so everything's transactional. Everything, like, hi, how are you? Okay, now I'm gonna need 5 naira because you just said hi to me. Like, it's that level of transaction that blew my mind. I mean, there was one scene where Mofe's sister passes away and he's trying to get her body back. And he had her body in her and her children, their bodies, right? Which was a crazy tragedy. And they won't release these bodies to him unless he pays. And of course, he doesn't have the money to pay for them, right? And so each day incurs 30,000 naira. Or was it 3,000? No, that's 3,000 a day. And so when you really think about life from that perspective, it's like, how are people surviving? But in the same breath, that's what makes them strong human beings. Did you have a favorite character? Did you have someone that you kind of leaned towards more so than the other?
No, because they're both complex, and so that complexity kind of, I was just trying to see if they could figure it out, right? You just hope that,
right. Hope to God.
But their love and patience, the love for family was huge. I mean, you felt that part of the culture, like no matter what, even though I could just be like, hey, this isn't my life and just leave, I didn't. I'm still looking after my Sofa's case. And then with her sister being pregnant, saying, hey, it's not my baby, right? I didn't do anything with that, but no, we're family. I have to bring you with me. I have to take care of my sister. Even to the point when she's willing to like sacrifice everything so that her sister will be okay. And so that was the reoccurring theme, I thought, just about family and being loyal and loving each other, right? Because even when people were begging for money, it's like family, 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 and then also God, and then that kind of all complexities of that is like, I'm trying to get you. So if you're not going to give it to me because of my family's suffering, well, come on, even God would do it, right? God. And so it's like, the guilt trips that were on every other corner were crazy, but hey, it did make them strong, right? In both instances. I maybe more to her detriment though in the long way because of how young she is, whereas like he was older and the lady comes in later and is like, hey, my son, I gotta get mad at her. And he's like, no, I've done too much. I don't want to do this anymore. And then he winds up making another sacrifice again. But I thought that was easier for him because he's lived his life, right?
He's wiser, yeah.
Versus the other way around, I haven't. I'm still young. I'm still vibrant. I still want to see things out. I don't want to live with regret.
And at least Mofe had his career or his job or something he was good at, right? And something he could make his own in the end, which he did. He was an electrician. And so that, to your point, that's a really good point, by the way, the age difference, which comes with a lot of, differences in experience. And so, where Rosa had to, quote unquote, not not sell herself, but compromise her dignity to 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 get.
I'm gonna quote that. That's a good way to say she's compromised.
Because she wasn't selling herself. She wasn't selling her. I feel like she was genuinely attracted, or I don't know. She was genuinely attracted to the white guy, right, who came into the mix, or maybe that was all like a plan. I don't know. But also, Rosa to me does not come across as a selfish gold digger, right? Her asking, let's say, her landlord for help or for money is a form of survival, not survival. Let me go buy shoes and get my hair done, but let me hold down my sister. Let me contribute. Let me put this towards this dream that I have. Let me get my sister's cell phone because this little girl is pregnant and she's out here, I can't communicate with her. So, sir, can you give me money to get a phone so I could give my sister? And I understand that level of hustle, seeing it the way that it was portrayed. And so to me, I didn't look at Rosa's techniques as like, oh, they're grimy. Granted, they weren't great for the person on the other side. Let's say Vincent and the white boy, I don't remember his name. But then the way it ended with her kind of having to fall on the quote unquote sword and going to Mr. Vincent.
Ooh.
Oh my God. And succumbing in the sense of, I will be with you. I will be with you legally. But you got to do this and you got to do this and you got to do this and you got to do this. Again, going back to the whole idea of everything being transactional. And that might've been the best decision she could have made, in my opinion. Absolutely. Because Mr. Vincent wasn't a bad man. He wasn't a mean person. He's going to take care of your facial expression is priceless. He's going to take care of her and her sister. And all she has to do is take care of him, be a wife, cook, and clean. Like, she wants stuff from him. She has to give stuff to him. It's transactional and it makes sense to me. What do you think about that from a male's perspective? Because that's an interesting point of view in that regard.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go back to your hustle part, only because remember Peter, that's the white guy's name. He's hanging out with his friends there, and the bigger brother, his name was Dada. He says, "Hey, did she ask you yet for this? Did she ask you yet for that?" So that seemed to be the common theme. It wasn't crazy lavish things. It was more like paid for school, paid for rent. But that's a different hustle, right? So that is the equivalent to the new shoes. That is equivalent to a new bag. That is So it's still a hustle, even though we see it as them trying to find a way out. It's still a hustle,
no doubt.
So for that, and he really liked her. So you just don't know.
He
really did like her. So maybe she really, and it seemed like she liked him, but the bar was too easy for her to say, "Hey, I'll give you my number." I was like, that's weird. I've traveled a lot, so anytime that someone's willing at the bar, because anybody at a bar in general, women get hit on about 100 million times a day, especially working at a bar. So there's a different skill level or something that you have that piques their interest, that they're willing to even go to, like, oh yeah, I'll take you up with that offer. A very, very small group of people can do that. Very small. So, right. It was a hustle in its own.
But he was giving her vibes at the bar, and she picked up those vibes, and she made her move.
Of course, because what's she doing? Her dignity, right? Her dignity. That's right.
You know what, Ro?
And the hair and the outfit too. Here's the problem. Why are you changing into the hoochie girl outfit for the guy? That's what I'm saying. It was definitely a hustle. It was
a hoochie girl outfit. She had it was a short dress, long sleeve. Her body was covered. We're talking about the sparkly dress?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's not a hoochie. Like, that's a New Year's Eve dress, like 1,000 girls are wearing. What do you mean?
She was beautiful as it was. Didn't need to put the hair and do the outfit.
Well, that's what folks do in Nigeria. They jazz it up.
Hold on. Only reason I'm not knocking that. Only reason I'm calling it a hoochie outfit. I don't think it was a hoochie outfit. But did you notice the brother coming up to her like, hey, girl,
Okay, sure.
Oh, hold on. Can I hear it again?
But we know her. We know Rosa's motivation. We know where she's coming from. To me, she was not like hoochie material.
Oh, of course. Listen, I agree. Not hoochie material at all. But
Okay.
you got to be careful when you're going out there in the streets. That's all I'm saying.
Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me I can't put on a low cut short dress, or else I'll be called a hoochie?
And I did not say that. Please don't be.
But you, sir, are implying that
guy.
If I put that on,
hold on, in the movie, let's stick to the movie, not to outside. Stick to the movie. In the movie, the gentleman came up, tried to get a picture, tried to do another thing, try to holler, but at a holler disrespectful level.
At Grace, but that's a young kid in the street who sees a young girl dressed a certain way. That's an immature teenager who doesn't know any better. Let's not forget Grace is all of like what, 16? And of course she looks inappropriate in that getup.
What do you mean, dress a certain way? What does that mean? I don't know what that means, dress a certain way. Is that like
whatever, Ro? You know what it is I'm trying to say.
That you would,
for a 16-year-old, that is not appropriate. Rosa is a grown-ass woman,
all
right? And so she's gonna carry it a certain way.
Okay.
Yeah, so all right. Okay, yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. But I get your point of view. From a man's point of view, right? Because
based on the movie, just in the movie, that is it.
From a man's point of view, I guess I can see why you would say that, but then I'm looking at it from a female point of view, and that's not what I see when I saw that dress. You know what I mean? Because like she was fully covered from the knees up. Fully covered. Like all that was out were like her knees and down. And so because it was sparkly, it sends a certain message. I don't know. But moving on. So what else I loved about this cinematography wise was the long shots of Lagos, right? We really got to experience contemporary life in Lagos, Nigeria, and it is beautiful. As down and out as life was for these two characters, the surrounding environment, going back to the word vibrant, I mean, their choice of color in this film, it reminds me of, remember Bantu Mama?
Yeah.
The color, the choice of the vibrant yellows, the blues, the reds. I love it when films and TV shows make it a point to make the location its own character. We talked about this a lot in Run the World, with Harlem being its own character. And I think that resonates in this film. And that's largely due to how this film was shot. The long shots and the long takes, they're breathtaking. And then also you get a real sense of, it was a collaborative community effort to shoot this film, right? Because it showed the entire community of the area that they were in, and they were all kind of a part of this film, but they weren't directly a part of this film, right? So you have the people in the back watching who are participating, but they're not necessarily actors or even extras in this film. They're just there. But the fact that they agreed to be, for this to happen in a city like Lagos, where, the community rules. Like you can't just roll up and think you're gonna shoot a movie and the streets are not gonna green like this, right? And so I kind of got the vibe that they had the okay from that area wherever they were shooting, and it just made it all the more beautiful to watch. And I watched it twice, and I think there's always value in watching things twice, because there's a lot that you might miss in the first. I know that's how I sometimes don't pay 1,000% attention the first time. And so the second time I'll pick up on so many different nuances that I'm just like, oh, okay, I didn't see that the first time around. Like the idea that the generator, which is what caused the death of Mofe's sister and her kids, the generator kind of, it comes up a lot throughout the film. And it kind of starts with this generator being the cause of this tragedy. And then it ends sort of with the generator being the thing that keeps Mofe's new shop going. Yeah. What else? What else did you What else did you think about it? What did you think of the visuals?
No, like I said, the scenes were beautifully shot. I wanted more water in the scenes. Now, I wish I was like, oh, I want to see. For some reason, anytime they shoot a movie in another country, I want to see what the water looks like, even if it doesn't look good. But there's something about that because when you have all those colors, it's just nice to escape in the ocean sometimes. And so that was
an ocean. Okay.
That was all that was missing for me, just to see that or like I was hoping that Peter was gonna. Oh no, sorry, we did get ocean. I forgot we did get ocean. Yes, that was why that scene was so beautiful.
But they go away together.
Yeah, we go out in the beach area thing for that date. I was like, what is this lifestyle? What's going on there? So I think she had a huge opportunity to really start something with him, but that wasn't.
I think so too. But I also think Peter let his friends get in his head.
Did they really? Oh, in a bad way? Because
I mean, again, Rosa was not this big time user who was about to run Peter for all his money, right? So it could have been something, but maybe not. Maybe
no, he wasn't honest, and that's the thing, right? Honest.
Yeah.
How are you starting something with somebody, right? Hey, by the way, this is my situation. I already have a phone, but I would love a phone for my sister.
Yeah.
And he was cool when he heard that. But then imagine if she would have called him for this to this and that, you know? Then she already asked him for rent. He was like, okay, I got you. And then he knew, like, that's it. I'm done with her.
And the way he chose to fade to black, like homeboy changed his whole number.
Yeah. I was like, gangsta.
Yikes. Okay. That gets the message across clearly.
It does, and then you realize, like, wow, what did I do? Did I make the biggest mistake? But at the end of the day, I still have my family. And so that pride was huge that I saw on both sides, on Mofo and on Rosa. Pride and just to be like, I'm strong enough to make it through it. I'll figure it out. I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Figure out a way. You know, the couple of scenes when Mofa started the job and he's teaching the younger kid, like an intern.
Yeah.
And I think we've all been in those situations where we've gone to the higher ups and said, hey, man, we need this to be fixed. We need this to be fixed. And they never listened to us until I was waiting for the tragedy to happen. There wasn't a big tragedy, but I was like, at some point, normally the films work out where like something happens, it's a big tragedy because we told you 20 million times. But it was almost his self-destruction that got him out of there, that kind of bettered his life in a way. He was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this control me and consume me. But, you know, he did lash out in a way. It's like, and she's like, we're taking this, we're going to pay for this and pay for that. Her accent was amazing, but it also, like, it got under my skin just a little bit because the way she would go, Mofu, you know, she was like, oh. But it was beautifully shot. The acting was very good.
Acting was superb.
Everybody that was in the scene, they played the roles, the lawyers, the doctor's office, like everybody had a good tight role. So it was, you weren't like, oh God, get me out of this scene. It was very well done. So shout out to both these young brothers for doing that. And
you know what else that stood out to me was the music. Oh my God. Listen, I'm a huge fan of Nigerian music, period, or rather Nigerian artists. But this was just giving me all types of Fela Kuti. It was just a lot. And I hope that I could get the soundtrack somewhere because the music was on point. I mean, and the music was its own sort of character. And I love how it kind of came in and out of scene. So you're not listening to like full musical compositions. Like it was almost like the spurts of music that came in and out was like, were speaking to me. I don't know about anybody else.
No, definitely.
And I loved that. And so even as the credits are rolling in the end, you now get this lengthy musical composition that's just like, oh my God, I kept rewinding it to listen to it.
Like,
and I tried to Shazam it. So I'm actually interviewing the two directors, the twin brothers, next week. So my first question is, listen, can I get the playlist? Like, who do I need to talk to get that music? So for those that are just tuning in, we are talking about Eyimofe. It's a film that's directed by twin Nigerian brothers, Arie and Chuko Esiri. and this is their first feature film. I'm also wildly curious how it was working with your twin brother on a film. So I think Chuko wrote the screenplay, and then his brother was pulled in and they made it happen together. Because I'm trying to think of me and my sister, like, put working in a movie together. Somebody's gonna end up dead at the end or not. I don't know. So I want to, and I want to know, like, how was it working with your twin on this? Like, how difficult was it to make a decision, like editing wise? I can't even imagine. If I want this cut and my sister Lisa is like, nah, who's the tiebreaker?
Figure who's gonna work what and who's gonna work the other. And that's the best way to kind of work it out. But I love it. I wouldn't tell anybody we're twins. And that way you always have people working for you. You know? He's like, wow, he's everywhere. Yep, every scene. I'm all over the place.
That's funny. Yeah, but they're twins, but one has a really funky hairstyle.
Oh, really? Okay.
And the other one is, has a completely different hairstyle. So it's you know who's
took away my hope. All right.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I have a ton of questions for them.
When are you doing that interview?
I think it's Tuesday.
Okay, nice.
The 3rd? Yes, the 3rd. So I'll have a full report on Thursday. So any last words before we wrap this up?
No, I'm excited to see what the future holds and what new movies we have coming up. And again, only because the man came up to her on the side of the street that I referred to as a hoochie dress. I don't believe what you put on, you're a hoochie for that, but just the way the guy came at her. I want to make sure that is clear so I don't get these messages or
clean that up.
Phone blew up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
Go ahead and clean that up. Okay, no, I hear you.
I gotta send flowers now over there.
Yeah, so this film is out. Check it out. I think it's worth your time. And it's not your traditional Nigerian Nollywood film. It has nothing to do with Nollywood. And I wholeheartedly believe that's what makes it special and unique. So yeah, again, it's Eyimofe. Eyimofe.
This is my desire.
This is right. Thank you. Which stands for "This is my desire." At least I think that's what it stands for, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah. Which says a lot about, the trajectory of the
desire to get out of Nigeria. That was it.
The desire to get out of Nigeria and go somewhere else. And I'm willing to do whatever I need to do, but only for none of that to work. And they stay in Lagos and then find their own way, I guess. Whatever happens to these characters. Do they
be it? The running story is the desire to find my own path.
Right. Wherever I am, right. Not having to flee to find that desire. That's a good point, Ro. All right. So thank you so much for watching Rewind with Ellen. And we will see you all next week. Looking forward to it. Next week, we are talking about Resort to Love, which actually just dropped today on Netflix. So check out Resort to Love and then tune in next week as we unpack and dissect it.
Boom.
Boom. All right, my friend. Have a wonderful evening. Again, thank you all for watching. As always, we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.